Black pretty much perfected the dark R&B sound, but how did he do it? In this video, we're going to uncover the secrets behind his production and see how it's evolved over the years. When it released, Free Black sounded familiar, yet still sonically groundbreaking. And today, it sounds just as polished as any other project in its genre. To start our journey, let's first listen to Never Know.
I know a lot of people, but I don't fuck with a lot. Got me standing here when I just wanna leave the spot.
The main sound is this airy pad playing a dark progression, so I grabbed this Layers Volume 3 one shot and put these chords down. To get that pulsing ambient sound, I added a reverb, compressor, shaper box, and automated EQ. Alongside the pad on Never Know are these vocals adding depth. So I chopped up a vocal loop, leaving us with this. One of the keys to Free Black's production is the use of distortion. Take Problems, for example.
I ain't mean to say that shit, girl, I was goddamn hot.
It's sonically very harsh and abrasive. The main synth has this automated distortion that comes in and out. So I use the same technique for 2 leads on our beat. Also on Problems is this synth hit on the 1. To replicate it, I added a Layers Volume 3 accent, as well as a couple of others. If you want any of the sounds I'm using in this video, be sure to check out Layers Volume 3. Over 650 sounds specifically designed for making R&B, and if you don't already have Layers Volume 1 and 2, I put together this special bundle for an amazing price. It has over 1400 sounds in it. And for you guys watching right now, I'm giving a special 10% discount code that's only going to last a week, so hit the link in the description. To finish off the sample, it needed pitching down, reversing, and I added another shaper box. Now we need to look at the drums. Both Never Know and Rules have hard, punchy snares, so that's where we started. Next are some fast hi-hats and an open hat. Finally, I added a hard kick and synth bass inspired by Problems. Now, we need to look at the more emotional, melodic side of the production. Songs like One Way.
Hands round my neck.
There are lots of pianos on the album, so I layered one with a synth pad, giving us this. Also on One Way is a very subby bass, filling the low end. Next, I wanted to take inspiration from Loving You.
Do you still scroll through them text messages?
The melodic elements are all very long, creating an ambient atmosphere. I added this singular note using a pad to create a similar effect. So far, all of our elements are ambient and soft, but like I said earlier, Free Black is all about combining that with distortion. On Getting Old, they did that in a slightly different way.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. He only about a bad word, tell him that he getting old.
Rather than using a super harsh distortion, they used a bit crushing effect on the synth. This creates contrast, but in a more unique way. So I did these bit crush presets from the Layers Volume 3 Analog Lab bank, as well as an accent. And finally, we have the drums. On One Way, they're very spaced out with a simple rim and kick. And to finish it off, there are these hi-hat rolls and unusual perks. Now, we have 2 sections and we need to bring them together. So for that, I wanted to take a look at Alone/EA6.
Like I'm more of myself than I've ever been.
This section is very simple, using a texture to create ambience and a piano to keep some sort of melodic feeling. A couple of years after releasing his first album, Black was making some changes, showing color in his pictures, and more importantly, his music. East Atlanta Love Letter took on a whole new sound.
Bodysuit, you know I'm on your ass today. Would you let me hit it thrice if I asked today?
As you can hear, Black is singing more about the positive sides of love, and the production matches that too. To start our beat, we needed a melodic chord progression. Processing stays very similar as I used a reverb, shaperbox, compressor, and EQ. Hitting at the start of the loop on Pretty Little Fears is this bell-like sound, so I did an accent from Layers Volume 3. And for one final melodic element, I wanted to take something from the title track.
All time high in the treetops.
At the end of every few bars, there's this piano lick that adds so much high-end texture, so I did something similar to our beat. Next, I moved straight onto the drums, going back to Pretty Little Fears for some inspiration. I started with some ambient, filtered percussion. Then I added a kick and bass, as well as this tonal perk that acts as a counter melody. The main part of this beat is done, but I wanted to take inspiration from Disconnect for an intro. The weird, detuned sounds fit perfectly with the topic of the song and create contrast that's so key to Black's production. First, I used the same chords but played them with the piano, then I added some textures, and finally added in the Layers Volume 3 accent and phrase. On the phrase, I automated the pitch, and on the accent, I added this wow control to detune it quite heavily. After a 5-year break, Black finally released Since I Have a Lover, and once again, he came with a new sound. Like many of the songs on the album, this one is based around a melodic guitar chord progression, something like this. To get this tone, I processed the guitar with a preamp, amp, compressor, spring reverb, EQ, and a flanger. Underneath, I added a sine pad inspired by Fatal Attraction.
Die for you, die for you, die for you. Live for you, cry for you, slide.
As you can hear, the pitch is automated to give this gliding effect, so I did the same, leaving us with this. After that, all it needed was some extra textures, so I added a vocal as well as a synth phrase. For the drums, I wanted to give a more acoustic feel, so I started by layering a snare and clap. Then we have some hats. And finally, a kick and acoustic bass. Black has consistently delivered some of the best R&B music over the last decade. His ever-evolving sound is so good because he uses contrasting elements to create something unique. For example, the tasteful distortion on Free Black makes it sound like something totally new whilst also being familiar. Next time you make a beat, try to use some of these techniques.